We're pleased to welcome you to Day 3 of the 2019 U.S. Open Tournament here at the National Sports Center in Blaine, Minnesota. You're joining us for coverage of a matchup between Minneapolis Sub Zero and Edogawa Nomadic Tribe from Japan. This is the 5th place final on the 3rd day of the International Club Championships portion of a much larger event. And I'm Erin Maraca, and this is Tony Leonardo. We're really happy to be here with you today on Sunday, Championship Sunday, so to speak, Tony.
It is Championship Sunday on fields in the stadium. Of course, there are some pretty spectacular games going on. The finals of the ICC. We've got some good ones. Revolution and Brute Squad, of course, Medellin versus Boston, a rematch of a game that we called a couple days ago on a crossover. There is Pride of New York Pony facing off against Seattle Sockeye. That's a rematch of semifinals from Nationals. And then in the mixed division, it's Dragon Thrust, the hometown team, facing off against the #1 seed. And they lost in finals last year, but I believe they might have won this tournament, Seattle Mixtape.
Yes, and so the other hometown team here for us in that club division, Minneapolis Sub Zero in their classic orange jerseys, I think is what they're calling them this year, and Nomadic Tribe in the white jerseys. We've seen a fair amount from Sub Zero so far on the live stream this weekend, but you know, Nomadic Tribe is a little bit of an unknown for us. We have seen the Buzz Bullets, and I know that there's kind of, I maybe wouldn't call it a rivalry there, but certainly some very tight competition between the two teams. Can you tell us a little bit more about Nomadic Tribe, Tony?
Yeah, well, Tribe has been around for certainly some amount of years, at least 7, but maybe 8, 9, 10. There's a core of players coming from Waseda University, one of the big universities, most famous in Tokyo. And yes, they lost in Japan Nationals to the Buzz Bullets, who have yet to be defeated in Japan. But that game was close. It was 12-11. Yes, the team is from 2004, so they are celebrating their 15th year now. This is a pretty good squad. And one thing their captain told us just now is that this is their last game of the season. So they actually kind of put this on as like the season calendar, which is kind of interesting. U.S. Open, part of their season calendar. So that's why we see these Japanese teams performing so well. I believe is that this is considered for them a pretty important tournament. And I believe some of the success here from the teams will lead to who gets picked for some of the Japan World Teams. And I do want to say one last thing, is Kentaro told me that the theme for the team and what they've sort of their code word, their key word, as he described it, was tanuku, which means courageousness. So for the tribe here, Nomadic Tribe, courageousness is the theme, and I think we're going to see a pretty good game.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here to call that for you. For viewers at home, you'll notice that the weather is already pretty hot this morning. We've been in the mid to high 80s all weekend with a fair amount of humidity, so already sweating here with 60% humidity. But it has been a very calm weekend in terms of wind. So though we've seen a lot of kind of zone-ish looks from, in particular, a lot of the Japanese teams, it has been really interesting to see that tactic employed in a light wind condition. So certainly something to keep an eye out for in terms of kind of defensive tactics. Sub-Zero, of course, known for maybe the complete opposite, right? That really strong person, tight defense, challenging every reset and downfield throw. We've been able to see glimpses of how strong they are on defense and what they can kind of pressure other teams to do, which is maybe a little bit different from past tournaments so far this summer where their offensive line was getting some shout outs in our little community press circuit. So certainly sounds like the offensive line has had a little bit less of a successful weekend. I heard Coach Tallis Boyd tell me a few times that they were making silly mistakes and throwing into poaches and throwing to the other team, which is certainly not something an offensive line would like to do. But the defensive line having a pretty strong performance here at the tournament, and certainly coming in as Sub-Zero, being in the 5th place final is, you know, an improvement, something to look forward to for the rest of the season.
Well, I really like how Sub-Zero kind of rebounded from their loss to Revolver. You know, Revolver falls pretty far down out of the scene. Sub Zero rises up. They take pre-quarters over Chicago Machine, 16-14. Pretty tight game there, obviously. And then on to quarters where they lose to Truck Stop. Truck Stop really performed well. Unsurprisingly, the 2 seed here, they take that one 15-12, put Sub Zero down into this 5th place bracket where they defeat the Buzz Bullets again yesterday. I did not realize that. That means the Nomadic Tribe will finish as the top Japanese men's team in this tournament for Japan. That is a significant storyline.
Yeah, Nomadic Tribe starting on offense here, and just a reminder, right? We'll be ramping up as we learn the names of the players on this team and who the disc goes through the most. Right now in the backfield, that's number 21, Namoto, looking for number 19, Otani, and that's an immediate kind of clean hold from Nomadic Tribe with a little bit of incidental contact, maybe a trip over there by Captain Colin Berry from Sub Zero. So that's a pretty clean, emphatic beginning statement, and a lot of energy, looks like, out of this squad early this morning.
Yeah, that's what I noticed right away. Like, we're still a little sleepy here, no matter how much coffee we pump into our veins. And these guys come out firing right off the top. Big sky up in the air. Release point totally in flow as Otani comes down with that one. And we got a good one for 5th place here. The Tribe, pretty excited as their last game of the season is taking place.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, right, if they've already kind of maybe exceeded a little bit of their expectations in placing higher than Buzz Bullets out of Japan, and maybe that's a little bit invigorating. I know there is a lot of mystique around Buzz Bullets, but it sounds like the Nomadic Tribe kind of 2nd place finish at Japan Nationals was determined by 1 point. Is that correct?
Yeah, Universe 12-11 loss for the Tribe. And as we talked about in the Buzz Bullets game, they have not lost in Japan ever. I don't know how much longer that can last if this Tribe team is performing as well as they are.
So as expected, right, another little bit of a poachy look here as Cousins has the disc on that far sideline for Sub Zero. That's Cheetah and Klain in the hand, or nope, sorry, that's Paletto. Sorry, Josh Klain was number 10 in high school and college, so I get a little thrown off. But yeah, that's Klain at number 29 in that backwards hat.
Did Tony Paletto have 10 at University of Minnesota when he got there?
He must have.
So how did Klain end up at 29? That's a trivia question.
That would be great to know. Here's Oscar. Oscar is looking for Vote. And Vote is pretty good in the air, and in double coverage is able to read that and bring it down. So Sub Zero answers with a clean hold and another assist from Ryan Oscar. He might have a million, under a million assists so far this weekend.
Okay, we're going to put that graphic up. Over under of 1 million for Ryan Oscar on assist. I will say he kind of floated this a little bit. Like, he's a little lucky. When 2 defenders get there on time, you know, he's throwing to a target that he knows is probably going to get that one, but to a team maybe that's if number 11 there, and that was a good D by Nagashima. He gets there a little earlier. There's a little more height there, perhaps, and that throw isn't going to work.
If you're following along this morning from home, we welcome you. Again, we're up at the National Sports Center in Blaine on these lovely fields in this giant facility. So much Ultimate is happening this weekend as we kind of vacillate back and forth between the youth club games and these ICC games. We talked a little bit yesterday about the power that this event has for the young people who get to, you know, very suddenly have access to their role models. And a good example of that actually on the Sub Zero roster, number 22 on Sub Zero, is a player named Dragony who graduated from Minneapolis South High School here in the cities and went on to play YCC, and now being able to play at the US Open with Sub Zero, a team that he has watched here as a local resident and spectator. So just an interesting note on the pipelining of some of these players and talent across various regions and metros, and we'll see that more kind of throughout the afternoon as we continue to cover those YCC games into their bracket play. Nomadic Tribe back on offense. Looks like Seki and Nakao working in the backfield. Sub Zero switching a little bit in the backfield to try to anticipate the blistering speed of these Nomadic Tribe receivers.
It worked too. They did stop what was going to be a deep look and forced the Tribe to go through the middle. And another good defensive stop here from Sub Zero. See if they can convert.
Yeah, Kamari's quick pass just a little bit behind his receiver. This is Couts with the disc, another YCC product. Jordan Taylor with the disc. That's Ethan Rasmussen.
Nice patience here from Sub Zero.
He's going upline to Cody Wood, and he will have the presence of mind to switch the field and find Jordan Taylor with a hammer, and that is a break by Sub Zero.
Yeah, just pretty solid all around there. You know, you see a couple players. You saw a Tribe defender slip. The turf is pretty wet there from the morning dew, so we may see a little bit more of that. And it's a little thick as opposed to the stadium turf, so there might be some slippage going on there. Throw a little bit behind, but you know that's really due to the pressure from this Sub Zero defense, as this is now the third time they're facing a Japan team. They defeated Buzz Bullets twice, so it's Minnesota versus Japan here in Blaine, Minnesota, the home team.
It's a good move to strike so quickly in a game on defense and get that break. A lot of the games that we saw yesterday in particular were really kind of offensive battles, at least through, you know, the core of that first half. And then it took a while for a defense to find a way to get a stop and convert on the break. So having this break early, certainly an advantage. Of course, now the importance is to protect that break at the very least, if not trying to build a bit of a cushion here.
Aaron, what does it mean for Sub Zero, you know, if they take 5th place? Like that's a pretty solid showing. Obviously, that's higher than their seed. It's putting them in the in the quarters look at nationals where they finished last year, seeded 9th originally here at this tournament. So what does it mean to finish 5th?
You know, I think it's a building block for them. We talked a little bit with their captain Simonelli ahead of play this week, and it seems like they're very focused on doing little things well and kind of interested in the process. And so I would imagine that this is a good confidence building, but I also imagine kind of hearing both Nick Simonelli and Colin Berry saying it's not enough, right? We have more to give, we have more potential, and being able to look back at games like that truck stop game, right? It sounds like they were even at 12s, right, gotcha, through the stretch, and like that's a bit of a lost opportunity, especially for an O-line that has otherwise been so resilient and consistent. So I think they're going to go back to practice with a little bit new drive, and certainly if this defensive team can continue, oh, that one snuck through.
Wow.
To number 9, Komori. But yeah, I feel like this defensive intensity should go back to practice and make that O-line better. And, you know, I imagine that their goal is to continue to build.
As we see the replay here, nice throw for number 88. That's Katsudi Hori. He has moved to London. He's playing with Clapham. So if he looks familiar, he was in the European Championships probably. I could be wrong about that. But just a few weeks ago. If you're playing with Clapham, you're going to be playing with one of the best teams in Europe. Clapham, the London-based team, been around for a good 15 years or so, one of the elite teams in Europe. And Hori is playing with them. Nice throw from him as it did sneak by the defender, and that's a hold for the Tribe.
So far, these holds from Nomadic Tribe have been 2 or 3 throws at the most, right?
That was about 4 or 5, but it's still in flow and in rhythm. And you're right, the first one was 3. Yeah, so right there we see like a point of interaction, right? It's like if Sub Zero can prevent them from quick looks and from flow and deep looks, then it looks like they have a good chance at this.
Blaine will center to Cheetah. And looks like Nomadic Tribe in a person defense with a little bit of a handler poach. Maybe they are also sensitive to the kind of huck potential of this Sub-Zero roster. Cheetah out to Roy.
Yeah, kind of similarly matched teams, actually, now that you kind of look at it, as they both have zone looks and man looks, which most teams do. Nice pickup there.
That's a Weinberg throw to Ryan Oscar. It takes a little bit too much of a shape. Would have been an awkward bid to try to attempt, I think. So unfortunate little miscue there. I know Charles has that throw.
Yeah, you know, that was all there. I want to say that Oscar maybe didn't start that cut as early as he could have, because the opening was completely there and the throw was in rhythm and the good throw to it. So, and you want to put that shape on it. So it's hard to determine these things, but I would have liked to see Oscar cut just a half second sooner, and that would have been a completion.
Onishi with the disc for Nomadic Tribe. Pretty good defense here from Zero's O-line.
Yeah, and this is, of course, Tribe's D-line handling the disc now.
It's Nagashima back to Niwa.
Oh, nice look.
It's Onishi.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yamagami. I'm going to get these names. I'm going to say them over and over again until I get them. 5. It's Onishi.
That fake got all of Sub-Zero turned around, but they're unable to capitalize.
Yamagari with Niwa in the backfield. That's a nice little, that's that IO high release backhand look that we've seen some other times this weekend. Toshiro now on that far sideline.
Taking advantage of the face guard from Sub-Zero.
Yeah, Nagashima. They are 1.5 feet maybe outside of this end zone, but this is a tight space in here. Again, that's Onishi to Niwa. That's Otani trying to slow his teammates down. Bid attempt by Blaine there. Onishi to Toshiro. Great patience here by this defensive O-line for Nomadic Tribe.
Oh,
just willing
so
to work it for 50 throws if need be. And that one a little too far.
Wow, you know, they had the front cone on the far side, and the rhythm wasn't there from number 19. He couldn't find his timing, Otani. Onishi doing so much work in that, really getting a lot of touches there and performing well, but the turnover comes, and Sub-Zero now with an attempt to hold.
Here's Oscar. He has Charles Weinberg going, but here he's got a lot of deep receivers going.
They put a flat mark on him.
They did.
To prevent that huck.
They must have been watching the other live stream, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, and for good reason. You know, you should know how you're going to play Oscar.
I agree. Well, here's Vogt. He made a bid on that far sideline, and I think they're discussing whether he was in or out and perhaps what his first point of contact was. And good spirit there. Looks like they came to an agreement.
Yeah, no observers for this game. So, and that's part of what makes Ultimate great. You don't need observers. These teams should be able to handle it themselves. And to be honest, that was a much quicker resolution than we sometimes see when there are observers.
Well, to be fair, technically there are 14 referees on the field at any given time in our sport. So,
and 7 of them on Sub-Zero because they're wearing orange.
Right. That's fair. That's also fair. Yeah, every once in a while Sub-Zero makes a jersey choice that makes the local community kind of
tank tops,
give a puzzled
mustaches,
look at them. There were football pants one year.
3/4 leggings one year, right?
Yeah, they were football pants.
Those were football pants?
Yeah, I don't know if there were pads in them. Oh, wow, an immediate trigger on that blade. Oh, almost a spectacular grab over there. I will see that's number 11 from Nomadic Tribe with that bid, Nagashima. And apart from that, like, pretty harsh blade, falling fast, he almost caught it anyway. That's amazing.
It looked like an offhand. It was his left hand that would have made that play. Big bomb here from Sub-Zero. Oscar going. That's not Oscar, sorry.
That is Oscar.
It is.
That attempted throw was by Kevin Brown, obviously one of the Madison Club transfers this year after the kind of dissolution of that team.
So, okay, you got to call a timeout here. You know, your defensive line, we've seen this in other leagues, Aaron, where you would call a time and switch up, call timeout and switch up and get some offensive players out there perhaps. But here and now, obviously the slow walk-up is beneficial, but early in this game, maybe burn one. I don't know. Looks like they're not going to do that.
We got to see that Oscar bid again as this big huck goes up.
What a put.
That's a great put to number 22, Yamaguchi, with a quick dish look. Oh, just a miscommunication. And Blaine gets on the stat sheet with a D.
Just Sub Zero. These two teams are playing great right now. Look, it looks not, there's turns, but that's because both teams are really just dialed in. That hug was totally in flow. The next throw was going to be there, but just Blaine makes an amazing, excellent move here and stays right with this person after that deep look huck, which sometimes demoralizes a team on the third or fourth possession of the disc, where you're like, okay, if our offense can't score this one, right? And then the immediate timeout by Sub Zero. This is a great, well-played early portion of this game.
Sub Zero bringing their entire team into the timeout huddle to maybe protect the 7 that actually need to attack here.
And Aaron, one thing I've noticed is how similar this Tribe team looks to some of the American teams. The Buzz Bullets you knew had different looks all the time. Obviously, the interesting zone choice where they wouldn't play defense for half the field, which they would only seem to do once a game. We haven't seen that from Tribe. They are playing a classic American style, switching up zone, and man, the deep looks, everything's in rhythm and flow, not these tight inside spaces. Break marks from the backhand side to a face guarded defender. So, very similar, and I think, maybe, I'm speculating a bit here, but that might be some of the success that they're seeing in Japan and internationally could be due to their style.
Blaine and Cheetah in the backfield for Sub Zero. A handler pair that has been together for a fairly long time through college. Weinberg around to Cheetah. A little bit, I think, of lane poaching by this Nomadic Tribe and going straight up on Ryan Oscar, but he puts it anyway. His intended receiver is Brown. Brown trying to... he gets it in. He tries to kind of milk it, as it were, and get it all the way into the end zone. And even though it looks awkward, Nomadic Tribe calls him in.
Well, you see why they were putting a flat mark on Oscar, and the defender not able to get around to the big pivot from Oscar to get that release point for that deep backhand shot to Brown. It works, although I think he was, I'm not sure he got that leap in.
Well, without an observer, maybe we don't know.
We'll never know, except we'll hit the replay button, and then we will know.
Yeah, sometimes in that direct sunlight, the lines on the field are blue. And now we're 3 days into the blue paint. So, it's probably going to keep fading and be harder and harder to see both the front of the end zone and the out of bounds lines. So, unfortunately, there is no straight down bird's eye view drone camera that can tell us exactly where his foot landed. But good spirit there by Nomadic Tribe, immediately signaling him in. So.
Well, I think it's a question of whether he caught it with his feet still down or not. When he leaps or not, from what I could tell.
Team's doing a pretty good job of staying in the shade. It is still pretty hot out here. And, I think the weather app that I use promised us an overcast day, and so far it's lying to us. Tony and I would love to engage with you on social media if you want to tell us where you're watching from and who you're cheering for in this game. Our Twitter handles are up on the screen. If you have a correction, or if you have anything else that you'd like to tell us about, we're here to chat with you. And it's early in the morning, so we have full battery power right now, and so we can check the comment stream and Facebook and all of those things pretty easily. Nomadic Tribe trying again to huck to number 27, Nikau. A little bit of a misread. Nikau, of course, drawing a pretty difficult matchup. That's U24 player Cole Jurek.
Jurek really got to give that one to Jurek. I mean, that was just great defense. Oh, and almost a great bid back here from the Tribe.
It's McCutcheon through to Eccles.
Ishii with the bid.
Up to Bruce. And then that's Jurek. Jurek's nickname is Beef.
Oh, I remember that now.
Ooh, nicely caught by Eccles. He's going to put it out to number 33. Oh, that's not Connor Anderson. Is that Connor Anderson? That's Connor Anderson.
Stand up, Connor Anderson.
Connor Anderson is another great deck. I just didn't see him very clearly there. One of the very best handler defenders from that class in Grey Duck where they won.
That's another break for Sub Zero now. That's 2 breaks for Sub Zero. And yeah, a lot of credit there to Cole Jurek, the U24 player. You know, really hard to put one up on him. The Japanese player there, number 27, Kentaro Nakao, who we talked to earlier, one of the captains of this team, had to kind of go up earlier, although we maybe could have baited Jurek by kind of going in and then kind of fading to the back shoulder on that one. But Jurek was up so early and so fast, and on top of that, Huck, and maybe not used to it there from Tribe, as you see Jurek right there on your screen. Beef.
Connor Anderson being rewarded for that goal with another point on defense here. He came back from a broken back last year. Broke his back. I think he was snowboarding. Had a pretty bad injury, but nice to see him out there running full speed.
Yeah.
Again, that's a pretty big injury. I think we think a lot about joints in Ultimate, right? We're talking about Tony Paletto the other day, coming off of an ACL injury last year that he got at this tournament. So dealing with some demons this weekend, I'm sure, but you know, that back injury for Connor. And see, yep, there he goes, as fast as he can, all the way down to challenge that first throw by Nomadic Tribe.
Wow, another Huck in rhythm, but teed up a little flat.
McCutcheon drawing the Nakao matchup there and able to get a heads up, turn around, knock it down style D.
Tribe showing they are fearless in their offensive choices here.
Yeah, they're very aggressive on those deep shots, which is really markedly different than the Buzz Bullets kind of short gainer tight IO style of play. Here's number 20, Eccles.
Almost I would call that a dangerous bid there from the Tribe defender. Wow, nice pickup there.
McCutcheon accelerating into that. Oh, and that's number 9 from Nomadic Tribe, Komori, with a run through D, and they immediately try to feed him, Connor Anderson, in the area, but unable to make a play.
Hey, you know, if your offense isn't hitting on the big shots, get it back on D. And, you know, you can say that all the time, but you had 3 or 4 Japanese Tribe defenders out there flying bodies all over. One of them a little borderline. Let's not give too much accolades to that play. But number 9, Komori, his D was fantastic, rewarded with a score.
Good bid there by Chuck. Sorry.
Chuck McCutcheon.
Charlie McCutcheon.
Out of the Philadelphia area, I believe. You know, got to see him a little bit when he was still playing Pata and playing for some of those Philadelphia area teams.
Yeah, I think he played 1 year with Grey Duck as a graduate student.
Poughkeepsie. Yeah, I live near there.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. My son was born in Poughkeepsie. So McCutcheon is listed as from Poughkeepsie, New York, home of Vassar College, Hudson Valley. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is from that area.
I thought you were just an ultimate historian. Are you a regular old historian?
I actually do not know if he's from that area. They just had a house there, so you know I don't want to speak too much on the FDR. I just know that there's some FDR stuff over there.
That's funny.
You know, there was a here. I'll give you an ultimate.
An ultimate piece of history.
An ultimate Poughkeepsie reference, which is there was a great Paganello beach team from England called Poughkeepsie, and so I asked them, I'm like, wow, how did you get your name Poughkeepsie? That must be an English name, right? And then we just named the city Poughkeepsie. They're like, no way, that's not an English name. We've never heard of that before. it's a tribal name from the native tribes here.
Oh, that's Greg Cousins, a popular receiver for this Sub-Zero line. I think Oscar threw it to him. I mean, that would be my guess. We'll get to see the movement here that Sub-Zero takes through this junk look that Nomadic Tribe put on to try and I think slow down a set play. But Ryan Oscar just doesn't care, and he's going to throw it anyway.
Love the spirit here. Yamaguchi and Cousins both go down to the turf. Cousins helps him up. Yamaguchi gives him a big hug and picks him up off the turf there. Just love that because You know, we're here to have fun. You want to win. Winning is fun. That's the catch here, right? And it's not a catch. It's just the fact of the matter is winning is fun. Winning and playing and having fun and friendliness with your competition is also fun. So, yeah, why not get the double win, you know? Go for it. Go for both.
So Sub Zero here leading 5-3 in this 5th place finals game on Sunday at the 2019 U.S. Open Championships. If you have found this live stream and are joining us from home, a reminder that we'd love to interact with you and hear where you're tuning in from. I think it's still like a reasonable hour in Japan as well, so maybe we have some viewers from, it's Edogawa, right, in Japan. We got some good Japanese viewers from the Buds Bullets game the other day, and that was pretty late at night. So I feel like this is a little bit more optimal viewing time for that time change. Nomadic Tribe working it through Hana.
Unless, of course, this were delayed for any odd reason.
Right.
In which case it might be, 2 in the morning and on a Sunday.
True. That's Hori. Out to 21 Nomoto.
Great movement here from Tribe. See if they can finally complete it into the end zone. Last time they had trouble.
It's an interesting little handler triangle situation there and a tumbling catch. I believe that's number 1, Hashiguchi. And that's still a hold, right?
That's a hold, and Hori threw the disc, 88, the Clapham player.
Ah, yes.
So right now, still the story of this game is Sub Zero with 2 breaks so far. So they have the 1-goal advantage, but a 2-break lead, and will receive to start the second half, I believe. Both teams playing really focused and hard. Not the laissez-faire game we've seen or might have expected perhaps in the 5th place game. So love to see that. Watching here in the States, we've had some tragedy strike this country. We'll talk about it a little bit. It's just, it doesn't really seem like it fits our sport, but let's not pretend that we're above the affray or that we're somehow special because there's been 2 mass shootings in the country in the past 24 hours. And it is a uniquely American phenomenon that we hope does not spread to other countries and other places around the world. So, we just want to recognize that, we have a problem here in this country that we're not currently able to fix, and that's sort of just where we're at. It's the easiest way to say it. There's been a lot of talk and a lot of discussion out there for a number of years, the problems that this country does have, but we're blind to think that we are above it somehow, that, it's just a human thing, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's a crazy guy with a gun. No, it's more than that. And yeah, it's a complicated situation, but let's not just throw it under the rug. So we just want to say that we are aware, and it is something that we think about, and we read about it, and it's just part of our daily lives here in America.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just processing that information this morning. It becomes harder and harder to process it because it is such a repetitive situation here. And yeah, to your point, I don't want anyone at home to think we're ignoring it or trying to pretend that, right, we're in some clean bubble here in Blaine, Minnesota. We're not that far from a shooting that took place in Falcon Heights, Minnesota, not that long ago. So it's a close to home topic, but for those of us that love Ultimate and feel like Ultimate is our mental safe space or like cathartic in a way, I think it's a pretty good opportunity for people to do the processing that they need to do in a community of people that they care about, with their teams who have their back in adversity and other very challenging situations. And so we respect these players who are across the fields today. There's a lot of teams competing, right? Many of whom are going to be upset and have to figure out a way to cope today. And I hope that Ultimate is a reprieve for them for a little bit and can make them feel at least a little bit better.
And we are referring, of course, to there was a shooting at an El Paso Walmart targeting Hispanics. That is unacceptable. And then later on, about 18 hours later, a mass shooting in Dayton, Ohio, at a crowded area for bars, locals, and tourists. So we don't know the details too much on that, but that is what we are referring to with our mass shooting epidemic here in the United States.
There was a clean hold by Sub Zero. Oscar to vote recently, just a moment ago. And now we find the Sub Zero defensive line back on the field with Nomadic Tribe. Looks like there's a little bit of a trip up between Jurek and Nakao. Am I saying that right? Nakao. Is there an extra syllable with that O? Nakao. Nakao. Okay.
As your resident Japanese expert, I say Nakao. But
right.
I think of Ryo Kaoka.
Okay.
So that as the Oka, so Kao. I think that's right.
Okay. Yeah, I really appreciated your friend Brian Chang.
Yeah.
He came over with some pronunciation and tried to teach us all the Japanese vowels in one sitting. And I really appreciated it, but I was also like, I'm not going to be able to retain this information. I need to write down phonetics for these names for this game, but I really appreciated the effort there. The other thing that I really appreciated was a conversation that I had with Slap yesterday about kind of the necessary bilingualism that we are expecting out of these international teams, especially in, number 4 got loose. That's Hana, or Hona, maybe. Brian would tell me that all the O's are long O's, so maybe it's Hona.
This goes out to you, Brian Chang, and Yoshio Lipa.
Yeah, but Slap was mentioning that we expect a lot out of these international teams when they come here to the States. We expect them to be able to speak English proficiently enough to maybe have a contentious conversation about rules and be able to, advocate for themselves and be maybe well-spoken even in a language that is not their first language or sometimes even their second language. There are a lot of teams here who have either brought a translator or who have a player like Brian on their team who can step in and kind of mediate if need be and translate. And even in spirit huddles, right? This idea that you're connecting and communicating about the game, a really different experience when the majority of the international team that you're playing is not understanding, right, the kind of spirit speech that you're giving, or doesn't, or only understands every third or fourth word. So really an interesting mental challenge for these international teams that are here this weekend, speaking Japanese or Spanish. And we just really appreciate, I think, that mental effort, and I think it's a good conversation to keep having.
A break from Tribe, as that throw there came from Ken Nemoto. And so Tribe gets one back here, and well-deserved because they have been playing excellent defense. Of course, it was Sub Zero's defense that got them the breaks to start this game. I think the Tribe offense was looking pretty good. They're putting up some clean-looking deep shots, but Sub Zero, I have to give credit to them. They were in the right place to defend those. So it's a, so far, first half tale of defense versus defense here in this game, as Zero will look to see what they could do here, as this
Cheetah
Tribe defense is pretty solid.
Yeah, Cheetah staring down the field at a bunch of lanes that are taken, but in a very Cheetah's great. In a very Cheetah way, kind of staring down and just looking at his teammates like, what? Are you coming? Where are you at? But that,
wow.
A nice little run through D there. That's number 1, Hashiguchi, taking that Andrew Roy matchup for a second and then busting into the end zone. And that's a break. That's number 27 with the catch, Nakao, maybe, and 11, I think Nagashima is the thrower on that.
I think that's bookends for Kentaro Nakao, our coach and captain who came over and spoke with us earlier about Tanyuku, which means courageousness, and that is awesome defense. Sorry, the D not from Nakao, of course. He did receive the goal there. And the Tribe is back in here. They have got back that second break in a row, too, so they've tied this game up, and we're now on serve here.
Yes, 6s, still the first half. I'm noticing now that as Nick Simonelli, the captain of the Sub-Zero team, walks out to talk to his team, that he is not playing.
Yeah, I
And
noticed that
he
too.
is a notable member of this offensive line. I saw, I think, a live tweet thread yesterday about Oscar to Simonelli, Simonelli to Oscar. I can't tell them apart. They just keep throwing to each other.
Okay.
Kind of commentary. So for him to be resting, he doesn't seem to be in any pain per se, but perhaps just
He's kind of
taking it
shaking his
easy.
head right there. You're looking at Simonelli right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does not look happy.
No. Simonelli took over this Sub Zero squad a few years ago and really implemented just the most kind of discipline and I think a lot of intensity. You know, when they describe his leadership style, he's a taskmaster. Their practices are really serious. There are a lot of them. There's a required amount of training. And, you know, everybody buys into it, and everybody knows that Simonelli cares the most and is doing all of those things with or without them, kind of. And I think it's changed a little bit of their culture. It used to be that they kind of, you know, maybe had a good time and were a little bit of a class clown. And I think they've started to take themselves more seriously, too, and found some things that they take pride in, especially on that defensive side of the disc. So interesting to see that leadership change and how that impacts your culture.
Well, this is, I believe, a violation call from Zero. It's either a pick down field or it's a double team call, but I don't think that's a double team. I think the defender there, Nozuma Niwa, number 58, is in a legal marking position there. Sorry, not marking. He is off his person there. And this is just excellent defense again from the Tribe.
Yeah, it's that double team rule, though, reliant on an intention to guard one of those players. So interesting. Yeah, I think that's one of the rules that I get maybe confused about. I know there's also, in addition to Ultimate Twitter,
That's a foul.
Observer Twitter.
Okay, so this is called. So the Japanese defense a little too aggressive here on the mark. This should not be contested. There's too much body there from number 21, Ken Nomoto, on the big body of Craig Cousins.
Cousins not a small man, so to knock him off his axis takes considerable strength. Here's Vogt looking for a reset. He'll find Jason Cheetah with a very high hammer to Greg Cousins. Weinberg shook his person, but was in a strange place to be hit with a throw. So
Yeah.
Paletto will reset back to Cousins. Cousins in a little bit of an anchor spot right now. Apologize, I pushed a button that I wasn't supposed to push.
Love this battle between. There it is, finally. Did you get that line in? Yeah, that's a connection. I love this battle between the offense of Zero, which is obviously one of the top offenses in the country, but yet they're not that next level if they gave up a couple breaks late against Truck Stop, right? So coming into this game, Sub Zero wants to work on their offense, because if they're going to win and get to semis, get to finals, whatever, down the road at nationals, it's the offense that needs a little bit of work, right? Against this Tribe defense, which is really dialed in. They're on every player. They're really focused in. They've got a run-through block. They've got blocks underneath. They're bodying up. You're not used to that from Japanese defenders, I don't think. So this is a great matchup for both teams, really. If you're going to get better, this is a great opportunity. Is your dog being shot on the camera right now, Erin? There she is. Zom. Hello, Zom.
Oh, my gosh. This is my 5-year-old dog, Zom. He will not get in the shade.
Oh, he heard you.
Oh, he heard me. Thank you, babe. Zom, in particular, famous for stealing Jimmy Mickle's breakfast sandwich last year at this tournament off of a golf cart. I was deeply ashamed for my dog that is otherwise such an angel to be a thief. He was a thief.
Well, he was hungry. Jimmy probably gave him like that Jimmy Mickle eye twinkle, the Mickle twinkle.
I mean, there was petting.
You know what I mean? Right. And he was like, okay, in dog language, that means I can have a bite of your sandwich. And
Live Ultimate, right? That's exactly what happened. The Live Ultimate ambassadors were giving Zom some attention, and then they
Yeah.
turned away to talk to each other, and
Dogs
he
need love,
stole
too.
the sandwich. Anyway,
He believes he was granted the sandwich.
Yes. I love bringing Zom to this tournament. He's a really good sideline dog, but I also think it's really entertaining it's like a really good way for me to meet my idols.
And steal their sandwiches?
No, I don't need their sandwiches, but like Haley Walrus and Ella Hansen were like here to meet my dog. And I was
okay.
like, you're very good at Ultimate. Thank you for right. Let me shake your hand. Yes, this is a cute dog. That's cool. Can we talk about Ultimate? It was a good little gateway into a conversation with some people who I think maybe otherwise like don't owe me the time of day, right? Like they're very. I love meeting people out here, and definitely having a cute dog is a helpful way to get really talented Ultimate Frisbee people over to Field 13, which is where this dog is right now, if you all want to join us and give Zom some attention while he bakes out here in the sun. Nomadic Tribe back on offense.
I love Ella Hansen. She's a real sweetheart. If I can say that, I sound like Joe Biden. I have to apologize for that.
She's good people.
Exactly. Is that right?
Oh, look at that low blade saved
up.
by Hori.
And she works with Fulcrum as well.
She does. I'm hoping to see if we can get her on the mic maybe tomorrow for one of the YCC games. She's here, of course, with Schwa Ultimate, who've been having a really good tournament, so that's great.
Haley Walrus is an amazing player, but she knocked off my Notre Dame women's team a couple years ago. So
you have a
college
vendetta?
Nationals, yeah.
Okay.
So I think she's awesome, but
that's fair.
I still remember that.
That's Hori to Hona, I think. I'm gonna commit to the harder O, I think, on that last name in honor of Brian. So that
Hona.
Hona. Okay, good. And that ties it up at 7s.
As we see the hat come off of the defender here in frustration. Again here, beaten to the front cone, and watch this, and out with it. So, watching some broadcasts, I hear, our fellow commentators, Ian Toner and Evan Lepler, Ian Toner talking about how valuable this real estate is at the front cone. I kind of like him kind of relaying that, and you can see the frustration there as you don't want to get beat to that front cone. It's not as simple as that, right? There's about 5 other throws and lanes happening before that front cone opens up to get to that front cone. So it's not as simple as, don't get beat to the front cone. Yeah, we all know that. It's just sometimes, not that easy.
Yeah, I think it's one of those coaching mechanisms, right, where you tell your defense not to get beat to that cone, but then you tell your offense that in order to keep attacking that cone, you have to diversify and like engage the break side of the field and move it laterally to try to get that defender away from that cone,
and then attack it.
And then attack it, right? And so we saw that a lot actually in the YCC game we covered yesterday afternoon with Slap, and she talked a lot about basically end zone offensive sets, really prioritizing that break space in an effort to get those defenders to forget basically that the cone was their responsibility. So interesting to see that translated here with Sub Zero. A little miscue between Cousins and Weinberg. An immediate strike for Hori, and that will be Nomadic Tribe with a break to take half. Well, that just happened all of a sudden.
Yes, but it's been building up. Like, this is the 3rd break out of 4 points now for the Tribe. So their defense, which has been excellent all game, is now starting to pay off. The rewards are coming for this team, and it's well-deserved. And it's really just one of those games, it feels like, Aaron, where, like, you want to be on the defensive side. Sub-Zero, if they can get a hold, will maybe get a chance to run off a couple themselves on D. And just a great play, great defense here from Tribe.
I can't help but notice that for that Sub-Zero offensive line, Greg Cousins and Charles Weinberg, who are usually cutters and in the backfield and pretty powerful deep threats and, getting a lot of yards on unders, were behind the disc for that. And I'm wondering if it was a little bit of maybe a manufactured attempt at a handler weave at like a
Yeah,
perceived.
where's Josh Klein?
I think he was honestly.
Tristan
I think he
Van de
was. So I haven't seen Tristan Van de Mortel on an O line. I think he actually plays D line.
Okay, where's Tony Paletta? I want
Tony
Paletta.
Paletto didn't. I don't think he was on the field. I think I saw Klein in the replay with his backwards hat downfield. So maybe it was
Those are the
just
handlers I think of, at least from that Grey Duck team.
So that's like a little. It's one of these kind of catch-22s, right? When your offensive line isn't performing as well as you expect them to do, there's a temptation to kind of mix things up and do something different. But when you do that, you put some players that maybe aren't used to fielding the pull and handling those first few yardage gain throws in a position that they're not usually in and they're not super comfortable in maybe. And all these players, obviously really good players and comfortable with the throw, but if you have only received one pull at an entire tournament, right, you're kind of ripe for defensive pressure to make your life at least a little bit hard. So, you know, I hope Sub Zero goes back to this is who we are, this is who our O-line is, but you know, Tony, is there anything else? I mean, apart from that little run that Nomadic Tribe put together, are you seeing anything that maybe catalyzed that change or any adjustment or any energy difference that maybe drove that last little move?
Well, I'm not seeing Ryan Osgar making plays out there. I'm not seeing Nick Vogt. I'm not seeing Cole Jurek. I'm just not seeing playmakers, Eccles, from Sub Zero out there making plays in that run from Tribe. So whatever they're doing on defense, it's bottling up the big playmakers from Sub Zero.
Thanks for that assessment, Tony. We're going to take a quick break here at halftime. I'm going to go check on my dog and make sure he's in the shade. And we need to drink water, Tony. It's hot. But we thank you for tuning in to this live stream coverage of the 5th place finals in the ICC men's division. And we'll be back after this break.
But he said it was unlisted, so it's like that means like 5 people. Well, yeah, I just thought that'd be weird because like anybody's gonna walk. I don't know. Are they gonna brand it as a? Go, Aaron. Give us the job if we can. We aren't good enough. All right, Bay Area Open. It was a good run, folks, but it's over. SF now basically just a Fresno, but with more hassles. They're ruining economy and culture. Shaking my head. It's in the field. Did we hear back from other of Sarah or Robin? I guess we still have time, right? Like in the shade.
Thanks for joining us back here at the 5th place finals game at the 2019 U.S. Open. This is, of course, a matchup between Minneapolis Sub Zero and Edogawa Nomadic Tribe from Japan. Very exciting end to the first half as Nomadic Tribe broke several times to take half 8-7. So in this second half, we'll be seeing probably some adjustments from Sub Zero to counteract that run. Just for those of you who are following along, we will have another 5th place club game after this, placing Fury from San Francisco against Huck, another Japanese team. Oh, little bit of a, that was exciting.
Yeah.
No call, I think, is the right call, and unfortunately, Sub Zero not able to cleanly hold, come out of half. Tony, how are you doing?
The D there from Hasaguchi. Aaron, I thought that out-of-bounds pull would give Sub Zero the halftime break the focus they needed, but here's a big hut coming up from Tribe.
Just so fast, but Greg Cousins with a great layout D there.
Teams trading excellent defense downfield. Cousins here and Hasaguchi before that.
Cousins, of course, from Tulane University, but prior to that, a high school player for Hopkins High School here locally in Minnesota. Really just one of the better athletes that we have ever coached, I think.
Tulane, you know, not known for their ultimate, but in the last 3-4 years, they've really had a pretty good run there in the Bama Sex.
Here's another Ryan Oscar put around a flat mark to Brown. Brown will scuba to Roy, and that looks a little bit more like Sub Zero.
Yeah, nice shot there. Love the immediate look from Brown. That's kind of what you need to get these defenders off you is that throws in rhythm here. Beautiful put from Oscar as we see the defense from Hasaguchi on Oscar, I believe, as he knocks it away twice. And then Cousins closes ground fast here. You know, this is going to be Hori's disc all the way, and Cousins makes it up, and with the layout, chest-high bid, gets it.
I wish I could say I'm surprised about that, but unfortunately I've seen Cousins do that like 80 times. So
Okay.
I'm not surprised at all. Don't want to take anything away from it. It's clearly a highlight. It's just, you know, it's just a thing that he does, and I love it.
Chance Cochran plays for Truck Stop here, another Tulane player. I wonder if they played together to help that team get to where they've been recently, which is sort of in the top 8 of that region.
Also noticing here that the other Sub Zero captain, Colin Berry, who usually I think is on the starting D-line, is taking it a little bit easier. I know he has some Achilles stuff going on, so maybe he's trying to lay off a bit.
Yeah, this is not the game you want to get injured in or sort of preempt your season for sure. You want to put a lot into this, but it's not like for the Tribe, you know, competing sort of directions here. This is their last game of the season, as they told us. And for Minneapolis, really, this is their first tournament to really kick off the season.
That was a Logan Pruce pull. Pruce, another one of those Madison players who are coming over to Sub Zero for the first time. And this will be a one-throw score, catching a Sub Zero player maybe on their heels. That was number 18, Wyston Dunn, in the area. But number 9, Takaharu Komori, with that score after the throw by his teammate Nomoto. Just a really nice touch throw to space, and clearly a little bit of a set play there.
You know, so that was a pretty interesting move from Nomoto. I would almost want to call that a Euro step. Watch him catch this disc, hop, and then he drags his pivot. That's a travel that was not called. He moved into the defender Pruitt. I believe that's Christian Johnson. So he moved into Kristen Johnson, who was not expecting that second step to come because he looks like he caught it flat. But then the movement from Nomoto got himself open on that forehand side as he's into the defender, and he got a clean look that way. So not picked up there by Sub Zero, and a score from Tribe.
Yeah, that player is Christian Johnson. He goes by KJ because That name is hard to pronounce.
Christian.
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 You
KJ.
You can call him
with
KJ. Yeah, you can call him KJ.
Going KJ.
KJ, another YCC product out of Minnesota. I just love it when players who go through the programs keep playing. I think that's one of the most rewarding things that can happen if you're a coach. That nice IO look. Cheetah finds Oscar. Oscar will put it again to Vote, and Vote will seal the deal there. So we're trading clean, like 2-3 throw tops, offensive holds right now.
Well, that's who we wanted to see earlier. Oscar, Vote, the big names come into play, and we're seeing it now as Oscar with the touch on those throws. Really the two-way player. Oscar as a deep receiver or as the thrower. Either way, pretty good.
Yeah, there's Tony Paletto. I mentioned this yesterday. I think that's just his like mental cue, right? Like, this is my pull. This is fine.
Talk about the jazz hands.
Yeah, the jazz hands. He does it every time. In every situation I've ever seen him receive a pull, he's done the little jazz fingers.
I wonder if, so when you're looking up at the disc, you know, if you can get your hands and you're kind of like being able to focus where the disc is in the sky almost, like you're kind of framing it with your hands.
I don't know. You might be overthinking it. I think Tony is just kind of a funny dude, is all.
What?
I really like Tony. He's
Great
also
first
good
name.
people. Yeah, he came
quality.
out of the Nequa Valley scene in
Naperville.
Illinois. Yeah, so Nequa Valley actually at the time did not have a YCC team themselves, but now at this tournament they do. They kind of branched off from the Chicago Metro and have created their own YCC program out there in Naperville. And Tony, of course, a notable alum.
Naperville was the home of the Chicago Invite for a number of years. And heavyweights, Chicago heavyweights, that's an early tournament history for you there. So we used to always, when going to play Chicago in the 90s, you'd be playing in Naperville. So that's long been a home of Ultimate in the Chicago area.
This handler movement by Nomadic Tribe, just really fast give and goes and uplines, and a little bit of a handler weave. It feels like the downfield receivers are more trying to stay away and then wait for this placement. That was number 9, Kamore over there again, the attempted bid by Colin Berry, who has the capability of making up a lot of ground. He's very lanky, right? We had a couple shots on this on the Sub Zero D-line, a few places where maybe another 3 inches, right, or a little bit of a speedier first step could have been the difference. And here we'll see that attempt from Colin, able to avert traffic and collision there. Heads up play by the receiver as well.
And we've talked about this a little bit, Aaron, but it keeps coming up to me, the difference between this Tribe squad and the Buzz Bullets team. I don't know if Sub Zero knew what this Tribe team was like. So Nomadic Tribe, first of all, Nomadic Tribe knocked off Revolver yesterday. So that brought up this little tidbit we saw earlier, which was since 2007, Revolver has never missed the semifinals of 2 straight tournaments in a row. And this was the team right here. You're looking at them in white, the Tribe that knocked them off. And how do they do that? How do they defeat Revolver yesterday in the 5th place finals game? It's playing this smart style of American or European Ultimate, I don't know what you want to call it, but going to a Dominator 3-man weave set after a set play huck is a great look. And it caught Sub-Zero just enough off guard that 3-man Dominator set had no problem to move quickly down the field. And we see here on defense, now they're coming out in zone. This, again, I can't emphasize how American this team looks. And I will stop at that. Now, I think I've said it enough.
No, it is a cool little tidbit. We also asked Buzz Bullets yesterday, right? Like, we have this understanding of what kind of Japanese style Ultimate quote unquote looks like, and I think you and I are both being schooled right now in that capacity, but Buzz Bullets captain kind of indicating that this more aggressive style, the kind of huck to athlete, kind of muscly power show off kind of stuff was what they perceived to be American as well. So it is
sure.
Right. So it's not just, it's probably not just you looking at this Nomadic Tribe saying, this looks familiar,
Yeah.
right? So maybe that's why the Buzz Bullets matchup between them is so contestable and so close, because they are two different styles with various strengths and weaknesses between them, and an interesting development internationally for sure.
They're even bodying the marks, right? They're fouling on the mark, which is like, this goes back. There's a long history of that in American Ultimate, for better or for worse. But Kenny getting your offensive player with the disc, as we see a timeout now here, probably from, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. I was going to say Sub Zero, but
it's
they just
a tie
scored.
game.
Yeah.
It's 10-10. Either team could probably use a timeout. It's pretty hot still, right? Self-care is important. You've played 2/3 of this game. You have 1/3 of the game left, pretty much. So, yeah, I think that would have been a justifiable timeout by either team. But we will see a D-line out for Sub Zero with some of those playmakers that I think you were expecting, right? We're seeing Jurek and we're seeing Eccles, but we aren't seeing some of the other players that maybe we were expecting. So still maybe rotating through some personnel. Coach Tallis Boyd out there and Captain Colin Berry probably taking on a little bit of the role of matchups. Colin captained at Luther College in Iowa, is no stranger to kind of captaining a team and leadership, but it is his first year captaining Sub Zero. Nick Simonelli, of course, has been the captain of Sub Zero before.
But if you want to just go back and talk a little bit about Revolver, if you follow Club Ultimate here in the United States and the scene in the United States, obviously Revolver, the 5-time national champion team out of the Bay Area, lost a good portion of the roster recently, probably like 6 maybe of their top players. Both the Stubbs brothers gone this year, and it was really just a matter of time before they finally fell off, and now we're seeing it.
Naka out to Komore. Sub Zero wants them to force forehand, and that's why I think Eccles bidding anyway, but number 9, Komori, able to pull that in. Throw, I think, again by Nemoto.
So they come right back after the Dominator weave with a Huck set play to success.
It seems like, I think, there was a little bit of miscommunication about what the force was supposed to be on that point the entire time. Clearly, Eccles felt like he was out of position, seemed frustrated after that point, and if those were all break throws and that was a break Huck, that would make sense why he was not exactly where he needed to be there.
It looked like a flat mark on the thrower who threw through the body.
Oh, okay.
And so, when you get too close on the mark, you're kind of opening up yourself to the throw getting released either side, right? The forehand or the backhand. And it looked like just, a half step too close.
I want to know what he's saying to this O-line.
I've put mics on coaches before, and they do not like that.
No, I have had a similar. It's like having like a team parent that's like hovering around your huddle. You're like,
Are they listening? Do I need to go to my room?
No.
Am I
okay.
grounded? Damn it! Can I curse?
Yeah.
No.
Nick seems to be a little bit frustrated, but I haven't seen him get really close up in anyone's face yet. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Isolating Ryan Oscar on the initiator. He's got Vote going deep again. Oh, a good effort there by Hashiguchi on that bid. But yeah, if that works, if that 2-throw point on offense works every time, and you have the personnel on O-line so that it doesn't have to necessarily be Vote every time, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Oscar every single time, then like, why do anything else?
Well, I think keep doing it. I mean, watch. I don't know. We can't, yeah, there it is. You saw Vote get his man, and that is Hasaguchi, right? You saw him briefly bite on the under, and Vote just really set that cut up with a 1-2 super quick on the feet. You kind of knew he was going to maybe go deep, and I'm sure Haseguchi thought that, but he was able to sell it just enough. Haseguchi thought he could catch up ground. Oscar just has such buttery throws, lands it to the perfect spot there, and Vogt talented enough that even if it was hung up a bit, he's going to get that one. So just a nice dial up there. They got to back Vogt, they got to back who's ever to prevent Oscar from getting that look, and they're going to have to sag more on him on the mark.
Nomadic Tribe back on offense in this tie game, 11-11. You know, the fifth place finals isn't always an exciting game, so pleased that this is actually a really close game of similar styles. I think it's a good last game of the tournament for both of these teams to continue to challenge themselves and stretch.
That is
Colin
beautiful.
Berry unable to close in on Komori. Just the breakaway speed of some of these Nomadic Tribe players is just really impressive. Ishii with the disc. May have been either a travel, I think, or maybe a pick.
Sorry, Aaron. I got excited when that throw came up, so I stepped on you a little bit. I apologize.
No, don't worry. Seki. Tristan Van de Mortel on a pretty wide mark, giving a lot of space, trying to take those angles away. Interesting choice. Round break goes up. This is Nemoto going over onto the break side. That is Hori with that goal. Nomadic Tribe up 12-11.
It's a really great play. A sequence here. So first is the big huck, the amazing release point here from Tribe to get that forehand huck off. And then they settle into a patient moving around. They don't try to punch it in. And then they got the cheeky lefty release, the offhand release, which is, again, something that we did not see from the Buzz Bullets that often. It's not an inside break space throw. And just really working great here. I feel like we're looking at, for Sub Zero, this is the competition that they kind of wanted to see. Maybe, you know, this is a great game.
We'll see another Nick Simonelli talking to the O-line, trying to get them to do maybe, I mean, I hope the same thing they did last time.
You know, you do the same thing until the tribe stops it, of course, but you don't want to go to the well too often either, right? Like, everyone knows now on defense, I would presume, that it's when Oscar has the disc under, he's looking deep. They are backing Oscar right now, and now look at the sag. I mean, now forcing him hard flick, but the defender is there.
A little bit of a peel play there.
Oh, they got him.
They got him. They got a layout. D, was that number 8 with that D? Or no, there's no number 8. Shoot, I'm so sorry. I missed the number of the Japanese player with that layout D. That was a great kind of bait and bid situation. I don't think the thrower saw the defender when they put it up, and he was able to close the distance and come around very safely and get a layout D.
Well, they did it. They forced Oscar to try to kind of move in a small space instead of getting a free look downfield, and they got the block.
Sounds like it was Yamagami with the layout D.
Another great bid there from number 66.
That's Cheetah. These handler resets are really in small spaces. That blade off the like unbalanced back foot of that thrower. But here we are with Yamaguchi again centering through. I think that's Niwa. And now we have Tashiro to number 5, Onishi. And that is
it's a break.
Another break. Well, I'm sure we'll get a little bit of a replay here, but that blade throw over the whole top of the field, unbalanced, I'm wondering if that was a travel.
Back foot from Niwa. If we get a look at that, there's the D. I think that might have been Niwa as well. No, sorry, number 36, that is Yamagami, just as you called it, Aaron. and we'll see this back foot throw maybe. It looked like also it got off a little funky, like I wasn't convinced it was going to work there, as the celebration from Tribe, well earned. They are going to go home. If they win this game, they're going to go home pretty pumped up. And you got to say, like, you come here, you come to the U.S. Open, and what do? You take Revolver and you put him down 15-12, and you come up against a pretty good, pretty focused home team in Sub Zero, and you take them down too. You're going back home to Tokyo and saying, yeah, pretty good job. We did it.
Yeah, I think this is it's a good experience for a lot of these teams, and we've had the pleasure and privilege of covering a lot of international games this weekend, and this tournament falls into like really different spots depending on what your kind of international campaign is, right? For some of these teams, these international teams rather, this is a necessary building block step on the way to a more important tournament in their kind of overarching season, right? We talked to the Japanese team crazy about that. They have a tournament in October that is the culmination of their season. But teams like Ellipsis out of Australia, I think this is the beginning, the very beginning of maybe their longer campaign. So just kind of an interesting, and then as you mentioned, Nomadic Tribe, this is a little bit of a, right, like a capstone at the end of their season. So, just depending on what this means to your team, this either feels like, okay, here's what we need to work on, here's what we're building on, or, yeah, that feels great. What a great season we had, right?
Oh, my goodness.
Despite the hand from number 19, Otani, Ryan Oscar
was trying to catch the D, and then it tipped off, right? Because you open your palm up sometimes instead of swatting at it, and you end up that happening, or if in fact he was trying to tip it away. Either way, that pretty good D there, obviously, from Otani in the right space, the shorted throw.
Offense gets to retain possession. And so if you're a defender who catches your D, quote unquote, at the same moment, the offensive player, you aren't going to get it. And if you had perhaps hit it hard enough to get it down to the ground, then your defensive team gets to take possession. I know in youth there are all kinds of reasons why it's a difficult proposition to tell 100% of your players to catch their Ds.
Well,
but
for the obvious reason is you're not going to catch it all the time.
But anyway, I think at this level, at the ICC, it's really just you need to know yourself, and if you can catch the D, and if you can then do something smart with it after you have it in your hands. This is another aggressive big look. Sub Zero tracking it down. There is some contact, and a foul will be called.
Yeah, as you see, he's about to set up. This is Hori again from Clapham now playing in London, as he's about to try to get up in the air. The defender, just looking at the disc, plays it legit clean, but sort of, Hori kind of pulled up. Oh man, I gotta say, I'm gonna call that a soccer dive.
Okay.
I don't feel like he was contacted before Hori hit the ground.
Yeah, it's a hard situation there, but it's going to be a foul contest, and it's going to come back to the thrower. There were a couple good things there defensively for Sub Zero, the closing speed of McCutcheon and Eccles, making that a challenging throw. But to your point, right, McCutcheon made a play on the disc, I think. And I think when we saw the slow-mo replay, that also reinforced, if Hori tripped and fell and caused the contact, yeah, I don't know if he had a shot at catching it after he had already fallen down. And, fouls have to influence your ability to make a play. So if he was done and there wasn't a play available, then I feel like that might have been a no-call situation.
It's a good contest to send back. And we have a travel call here.
Here's number 15, Christian Johnson, KJ on the mark. 17, Ishii, setting up play for Nomadic Tribe. Out to number 9, Kamori. Nomadic Tribe in many contested lanes right now.
This is a pretty gritty point here.
There's a stoppage.
Now both sides pretty intense. It's been a pretty focused, tight game all throughout, but this point adds a little more to that. As everyone is up on the sidelines, both sidelines imploring their team on.
Back around to Seki. Through Namoto, and that full fast swing from Ishii out to Hona. Did I do it right?
Hona.
Hona, okay. Those swings are so fast, Tony. It's a really hard thing defensively to catch up and prevent that. But Nomadic Tribe now up 14-12 on Sub Zero in this 5th place final game.
Just again, the focus of this team from Tokyo, where they didn't try to force anything. And we've seen that a number of times now. The huck downfield was a little forced, but it was actually a little bit of a design. I don't want to say design. It was like their second look, right? So they had a huck play deep designed. That wasn't there. So they came under and reset for a second look downfield. So that was all kind of in rhythm. And I want to give credit to McCutcheon and Eccles getting there in time to disrupt that play. Unfortunately, the contested call sends it back. And then Tribe really kind of wisely decides, you know, we're just going to work this one up and just, you know, muscle it in and just do our best to not turn it over. And that results in the goal.
Nomadic Tribe brought a pretty light roster, not the lightest of the international teams, but I believe they only have 15 or 16 players. So a lot of stamina from this roster, playing in tight games over the course of the weekend. That's just a lot of points and a lot of heat. And to still see them basically at top speed full time, making these big effort plays and playing this aggressive style of ultimate is still really impressive. Oh,
Whoa.
Cousins and Vogt have an unfortunate incident there.
Vogt was being backed that whole point there by Hasaguchi, and now an attempt from Tribe to win the game.
That's 58 Niwa, and Vogt gets it back for his team there on that point.
Yeah, they might have gotten a little greedy. A little end zone eyes there.
Yeah. Paletto to Cheetah. They are also using the front of the stack defender as a way to double team Ryan Oscar off the disc, which is clever. Vogt continues to be backed. So cool to see the adjustment, right? The defensive adjustment by Nomadic Tribe to handle these 2 players from Sub Zero's O-line that have been scoring routinely. Oscar finds Cousins. A similar move to the normal Vogt move.
Yeah,
finds him
double.
open in the backfield, and Cousins places that blade over the top of the Japanese defender. Still a 1-point game here. Sub Zero needs a break.
Yeah, once Vogt is behind, once you're not in back of Vogt, he's gonna get you. So you gotta stay in back of him. You gotta keep him in front of you and keep your eyes on him. Otherwise, he's gonna double move you to death. His feet he's just too quick. And
so
you see the
he'll get
huck.
bookends.
That's right.
Yeah, so Vogt gets up for this layout D and then able to reel that in.
Well, we have a chance for Tribe to hold on serve to win the game. If not, of course, we will go to I think we'll extend this. The hard cap you saw up there, soft cap is probably on. It might be a game to 16 at this point. We don't have a observer to check in with. We'll find out about that, but let's see what Tribe can do in the meantime as we're looking at Vogt over there on the sidelines and the Sub Zero crew. As you see on the field there, discussing what they're going to do on defense here. Talus Boyd there talking to his boys.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if this feels a bit more like a U defensive line for Sub Zero, because they really
Minnesota
universe. Like
gotcha.
like these are your top 7 defenders regardless of what you normally have been playing in this game.
Right.
When you're a deep team, right? Sometimes you run 2 D lines that are designed more about what matchups they might take and less about like U7 are better than U7. But this might be the 7 better defenders in an effort to generate a block here and get the break back for Sub Zero.
Great pull Forces Tribe to start deep.
Yeah, Cody Wood is an excellent puller. Here we go with Seki in the middle of the field. He finds 27, Nakao. These kind of flat backhand breaks, and this a real flick break.
Yeah, wise decision not to throw this. I like the patience from Tribe.
Namoto out to Ishii. Ishii looking for Hona.
Ori trying to set up his cut there. Had a spot, but same third.
These floaty slow passes may be exactly what Sub Zero wants to bait. But a lot of this back and forth and lateral movement from Nomadic Tribe, making it really difficult for defenders to find a way to get a hand on it. But that looks like a bit of an errant pass.
Wow.
And just a mistake from Nomadic Tribe. No Sub-Zero defender really got a hand on it. It was a really scary.
It was a leading pass to
Yeah.
Hori there, and I'm not sure he was fully expecting it.
Well, Wood to Jurek. Jurek to Van de Mortel.
Defensive effort from Tribe is here so far.
Out to Colin Berry, who is, by the way, left-handed. And that is looking for Connor Anderson, who,
similar to what we saw earlier.
no call. I think he is owning up to maybe just stepping wrong and falling down.
Yeah, I would say so. Anderson there not calling it. In position there was Hona. There is some discussion here on the field.
Was there a foul on the... We will wait and see. There might be an injury on the field. So I think there's a little bit of directing traffic here as a substitution comes in for, I believe, Nomadic Tribe.
Yeah, no one has walked to the disc yet, as the disc is just lying where it landed. It's lonely over there at the back of the end zone.
So Nomadic Tribe with 70 yards to go to win this 5th place final.
Well, we think. I'm still not convinced that it's a turn. It's a turn.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Just as I say that.
So we will see number 4, Hona, pick up for Nomadic Tribe, guarded by Whiston Dunn. With a kind of a flat mark, but still a lot of really quick horizontal movement from this Nomadic Tribe team.
The horizontal stack is what they came out with, and now they are rushing down the sideline.
It's just so fast. Oh, perhaps a lot of contact there. That's Jason Cheetah, who was also a strategy sub for Sub-Zero. He must have come in during that injury timeout. So they put an offensive player on this field.
Well, I think Namoto came in as well, 21.
Yeah. A lot of give and goes in the handler set, but this is going to be a pick, perhaps?
Yeah, looked like the raised hands, the raised arms with the fist, signaling pick. Vertical stack here from Japan. Namoto will be the back.
That is, if you can hear it, the horn going off. So at the end of this point is soft cap. So if Nomadic Tribe is able to score here in these kind of 10 and 15-ish yards, then it'll be game, no matter what. But if for some reason this point continues to play on and Sub-Zero is able to score, then the game would move to 16. Hammer going off, risky.
Whoa!
Oh, perhaps misread by Van de Mortel, but that is number 9, Komori, who's had a great game, who comes down with that hammer, and they'll take the 5th place at the 2019 U.S. Open International Club Championships Tournament. Nomadic Tribe.
Keep that disc, Komori, USA Ultimate. You earned it. Yeah, we'll see if we can get an on-field interview. Why not? We'll see if we can get down to. You gonna go down to talk to Ken Nakao?
No, why don't you go?
Okay. Why don't I go?
You already know him. A really exciting game there, and we will try to get the captain from Nomadic Tribe, Yuki Otano, I believe, to discuss what this means for their team. Clearly a lot of good things in this tournament that they can take home to Japan, maybe a little fuel to the fire to maybe finally unseat the Bunkasheta Buzz Bullets as the #1 team in Japan. A lot of really fast movement from this Nomadic Tribe team, especially that horizontal movement, but I really appreciated their style of play. And as Tony mentioned, it did look a little bit more like one of our kind of U.S. club men's teams, maybe more so than the other Japanese teams we've seen over the course of the weekend. As we see on our screen, this is the customary spirit huddle that we've talked a little bit about this weekend. A good opportunity, especially in games like this one where there was, as Tony mentioned, a fair amount of contact in certain situations, maybe a dangerous play once or twice. This is your opportunity as a team to respectfully initiate a feedback loop and make sure that teams know that as we continue to go out and represent our sport, that we want at least a little bit for everyone to feel like they're representing all of us, and that the cleaner we play and the more competitive the games and the kind of safer the play, the better all of us become. Those clean Ds are often the most athletic and the most skills, but we know that they might have a little bit more to talk about in this game than in some of the other games that we've watched, and we hope that they come to some civil conclusions, but I think we are going to respect that they are having a conversation, and again, in a difficult bilingual situation that might need some translation. So we're going to go ahead and leave that Captain Yuki Otani to the Spirit Huddle. Tony, you're back up here with me. Takeaways from this game?
We call a lot of Ultimate. I've seen a lot of Ultimate through the years, and I just want to say thank you to both teams. You know what I mean? Like, I love seeing great, well-played, well-executed Ultimate. Great players making great plays. Sub Zero, you just got to say, they didn't have as much at stake here. So Simonelli not playing, not having everyone available. This game wasn't as important to them. It's not going to affect their USAU standing. So understand, and that little slippage was, basically all Tribe needed. But they didn't rest on that. They came out and they took this game and they won it and they deserved it. So good for the Tribe and good for Sub Zero because they got another season ahead of them.
Yes, we are going to award the play of the game to that Greg Cousins layout D that we were not sure he was going to be able to make up the ground on. So this closing speed and effort to get that chest high or maybe higher layout D on this play. Really kind of hype moment for the game that Sub Zero fed off for a little while. But a good game overall in this 5th place final in the men's division, and that wraps up the tournament for both of these teams. Our next kind of moment with you all at home is the 5th place final of the women's division of the International Club Championships, pitting San Francisco Fury against Huck, also from Japan. A lot of international time on the live stream this weekend for these teams. On behalf of Tony Leonardo, I'm Erin Maraca. Really love to be a part of your weekend, and we hope to meet you back here on Field 13 in just a little bit. Thanks so much.